Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. Hope that work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us. We're brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Plenty of ground to cover here on this Tuesday. They're underway from Hoover. Shocking information coming out. This is breaking news. You're hearing it first. They're a little behind. They're a little behind. There's been some pitching changes, been some home runs hit, been some scoring back and forth between Ole Miss and Missouri in game one. So just a hunch, LSU probably won't start right at 8 o'clock tonight. But we knew that the second that was announced. So if you're going to stay up tonight, buckle up, maybe get a nap in at your desk or when you get home, because it's going to be a late night for those of us that are locked into LSU and Oklahoma. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. LSU basketball making waves on the internet, I'll tell you that. We'll discuss it in 15 minutes. Glen West talking Tigers at 1:30. Tyler Shuck spoke with the media at the Saints golf tournament yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that in an hour or two. A big-time cornerback has canceled a visit to LSU. That's something we need to discuss as well. And Sharif Ishak will be here talking Saints at 2:30. So lots and lots to cover. Let's crank it up.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
All right, LSU and Oklahoma tonight from the Hoover Met. Could be the final day of LSU's 2026 season. They're playing for it until they lose in Hoover. And so it starts tonight. Let's talk about it. LSU left William Schmidt off of the roster for last weekend against Florida. He was not eligible to play. They knew they were going to use him on Tuesday in this game, and that is what LSU has decided to do. I believe that to be the right thing. William Schmidt going 7 shutout innings against Florida back on Thursday was not going to change LSU's fortune for the NCAA tournament. They have to win all their games here. So despite what you may think about the odds for LSU running the table in Hoover, they've got to try, and that's what they're going to do. Schmidt has been okay this year. Not great. He's been okay. He faced Oklahoma back in the matchup at Alec Box Stadium. He did not last a long time in that game, only 4 innings, but he did only allow 1 run. He gave that up on 6 hits. He struck out 7. Did a nice job against an Oklahoma offense that is just okay. And for that reason, I think this is a pretty good matchup. Most Tuesday matchups are pretty good. Not a lot of great teams taking the field in Hoover today. Ole Miss is pretty good. They're playing today, but they're the highest-ranked team in the conference that is playing today. They're playing the worst team in the conference in Missouri. But South Carolina is not any good. Obviously, LSU has had a brutal season. Oklahoma is not great. I mean, you're looking at the bottom of the Southeastern Conference that's taking the field today. So most of your matchups are good. But I would suggest this is a pretty good one because Oklahoma is not a fierce offensive team. Those are the teams LSU has almost no chance against. And they haven't beaten them this year. A&M's got a really good offense. They came to the box and swept LSU. Georgia has a really good offense. They bashed LSU all over the place in Athens. Mississippi State can really hit. They took it to LSU in Starkville. Florida's got some real talented hitters. They're middle of the pack offensively, but they tore LSU up in the box over the weekend. But I look at this Oklahoma team, and if we're just looking at league games, inside league games, Oklahoma is 6th in batting average, 10th in on base, 12th in runs scored, 10th in doubles, 11th in homers. There are 8 teams that strike out less, so they strike out a decent amount. The only thing that really jumps off the page at Oklahoma offensively is that they do steal a lot of bases. They are 2nd in the SEC in that department behind Kentucky. So it's a team that does have some talented guys. Dayton LaChance had an awesome year in conference games. Not for the season, in conference games. He hit 11 homers in 30 conference games. Cam Johnson, a different one. They have Cam Den Johnson and Cam Run Johnson. Cam Den Johnson hit 350 with 6 homers in SEC play. Deshaun Harris hit 380 in league play and was 11 for 11 on steals in 29 games. So they do have some pieces. It's not a bad offensive team. South Carolina's a bad offensive team. Oklahoma's not a bad offensive team, but they're not great. And then William Schmidt should have a decent chance. He is more than rested. He's had full rest after throwing Friday in Athens. He's now throwing on Tuesday in Hoover. I would like to see William Schmidt go out there and get over 100 pitches tonight. I realize that Jay Johnson has to manage tonight with the season in the balance, and that may make you take a guy out if he walks 2 guys or if he gives up a 2-run homer. Like, I understand that if it happens. You've got your full staff probably ready to go. Zach Cowan would be the only iffy one. He threw 60 pitches to start the game on Saturday. He's only had 2 days of rest, but Zach Cowan's a really good bounce-back arm. He's durable, and he doesn't have huge professional aspirations, I wouldn't imagine. So if he needs to throw tonight, he'll throw tonight. But I would love it for the sake of William Schmidt, for the sake of LSU's running this tournament, for the sake of Schmidt's development moving into next year. I would love it if he took the baseball in a spacious stadium. The ball is jumping today. There's been a lot of home runs in the morning, but in a spacious stadium against an average offense in the league. And if he could go, it would be awesome if he could go 6 innings, 2 runs, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. That would be great. I don't know that that's asking for the moon. And there's like 60% of me that's asking for that based on the game tonight. And there's like 35% of me that's asking that just to see William Schmidt go out there and do that, because he didn't do it a lot this year. He did it against Kentucky, had a nice outing against Kentucky. He did it against South Carolina, had a nice outing in South Carolina. Those are 2 of the weakest lineups in the SEC that he had that success against. For a lot of William Schmidt's outings this year, it's been 4 2/3, 3 or 4 runs, 5 or 7 strikeouts, 2 or 3 walks, out of the game early. Pitch count elevated. That's just kind of been what he is, and I hope that you get a little bit more than that in the game tonight. I'm looking at Oklahoma's pitching staff for this game, and they are pitching off. Motivation is not there for Oklahoma tonight. I'll paint you the picture for them. They won 14 SEC games, 14 and 16. They've got an RPI of 20. They are in the field. They also are not going to host. So you're looking at a 2 seed for Oklahoma, maybe a very, very high 3 seed. But they cannot host, and they can't fall out of the field. A loss to LSU today is maybe dings their RPI a tiny amount on a neutral site, but they're going to be in the low 20s in the RPI with 14 SEC wins. They will be in the NCAA tournament. So you're facing a team tonight with nothing on the line. There are a few teams that have nothing on the line in Hoover. Georgia, nothing. Texas, nothing. Oklahoma, nothing. Tennessee, nothing. Like, there are some teams that have nothing on the table. Now, there are others that do have work to do. I think Auburn would maybe like to win one. I think they're locked in as a top 8, but you never know what's going to happen this week. Alabama's playing for a top 8. Ole Miss is trying to get into a hosting position. Mississippi State is trying to lock down a hosting spot. A&M's trying to play its way to a top 8. There are a lot of teams that do have something on the table. Oklahoma's got nothing on the table. So they're not rushing a starter out there. They're going to throw a junior lefty in the game tonight that has started 1 game all year. Gavin Jones will be their starter. His longest outing of the season is 2 2/3 innings and 36 pitches. That's as long as he's gone this year. LSU saw him early in Alec Box Stadium. He got I think he got 2 outs in the series. This is they're throwing a bullpen day. You're not going to see Cameron Johnson in this game. You're not going to see LJ Mercurius in this game, I don't think. Those guys pitched over the weekend, and they're not going to rush back on Tuesday. Skip Johnson knows they're traveling next week. He needs his starting pitching to be very, very good. It has been iffy this year. They're not going to throw them on a Tuesday in the Southeastern Conference Tournament. So you're getting the bullpen from Oklahoma. It's about as good a matchup as you can get. And guess what? That big stat that's running out there where LSU is 0-15 against teams with a winning record in SEC play, Oklahoma 14-16. So you're good. LSU's got a chance to compete. Right now, as we sit here, if you're Jay Johnson, you're thinking about this in a 2-game setting. You have to beat Oklahoma tonight, and then you have to beat You have to beat Auburn tomorrow. That is your 2 games, and then you get an open day. You get an off day on Thursday if you do it. Auburn is in an interesting spot. I mentioned this yesterday. I think they've got a top 8 locked down. Auburn has 17 SEC wins, 17 Quad 1 wins, and their RPI is 3. I think even if they lose to LSU, because most teams are going to lose this week. You always have to keep that in mind. Some won't, but most teams are going to lose this week. Auburn with 17 Q1 wins, 17 SEC wins, and an RPI of 3, to me, is a top 8. And so the question is, tomorrow, are you going to see Jake Marciano, who would be on a day short rest? He threw 102 pitches against Georgia on Thursday. He is their ace. He is their horse. He is the best guy they've got. They've got the lowest ERA in the SEC, but he is their dude. They have 3 options with him. Hold him and just keep him on normal rest. He would probably pitch on Friday. Well, it would be a day extra rest. If they win, they wouldn't play till Friday. So you would hold him until Friday. You can just throw him normal on 1 day short rest, or you can Paul Skeens it and throw him out there for 3 innings and say, all right, that's it. But either way, like 2 of those 3 ways, you're not getting the full Auburn ace treatment. So if you're Jay Johnson, find a way to beat Oklahoma with William Schmidt tonight. Hopefully Auburn is not motivated. They don't throw their ace and you got a chance. And then you get an off day and then you reset your pitching staff and then you got to go beat the big boys 3 times in a row. I hear myself out loud, I promise, guys. But look, this is all I've got left. All we got left is this week. That's it. So I'm going to cling to this week and then we'll move on when it's over. It might be over tonight at midnight. And guess what? I'll come in here, we'll do the obituary, and then we'll push off the deck. But right now, they got a game to play. They're in the mix. They're in it until they lose. William Schmidt's going to take the baseball tonight, sometime around 9 o'clock probably. And you got to hope you can find one. And then you get to the next one, you find one. And if you can get 2 wins, you get a day off and you reset. And then you got to show up and play some real teams. So we'll see how it all works out. As I mentioned, Ole Miss and Missouri are playing right now. They have inched into the 9th inning finally. Looks like Missouri's got a 4-run lead. So if Ole Miss can't score 4 at least in the bottom of the 9th inning, the Rebels will almost assuredly be traveling for NCAA tournament play. They were probably a game short in the league of getting that win over Alabama on Saturday, and they didn't, so they slipped down 1. RPI looks good, but the conference record is not quite as good. And then you lose to Missouri, your RPI kind of sits still, and they're not going to have enough, so they'll have to travel. They were going to probably have to get to Friday to feel good about it. I think it's Thursday in their case, but they're probably going to have to get to Thursday, win at least 2 games, maybe win a third, get to Saturday to feel like they had a chance to host. They will not. It doesn't appear, unless they can get 4 in the bottom of the 9th against Missouri. And hey, it is Missouri, so that could happen, I suppose. Our Tuesday shows are brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Step aside. When we come back, LSU basketball is in the headlines. A lot of people not too happy about them, but could be a very, very impactful day for LSU basketball. I'll tell you what I'm talking about next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. FabryChevrolet.com is that website. The entire inventory is right there. So you can see everything from their new vehicles, which are phenomenal, to the pre-owned, if that's more your style. Either way, they've got them online because they've got them on the lot right there at Highway 61 in St. Francisville. You're going to get wonderful customer service with the Fabry family. That's what they've been doing for 35 years. That's what their reputation has been built off of. That's why you go visit them when you're looking for a new vehicle. So if you've got a high school graduate who may need a new ride, if you feel like your lease is about to be up and it's time for you to get behind the wheel of a new ride, or you got that family road trip coming up and you're just not sure this old dog is going to hunt anymore, get you a new one. Fabry Chevrolet GMC has got you there on Highway 61. An entire inventory online at FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up.
Storm season just about here. Our friends at Boudreaux's Electrical Services are ready to help you install that Generac home standby generator at your house, at your business. So you've got the peace of mind to know the power's not going to go out on you. I talk about getting that generator at home every day. And that's obviously something Boudreaux's Electrical does a ton of. But if you're a business owner, property owner, and you want to make sure that your business doesn't lose power, Boudreaux's Electrical Services is happy to help you out commercially. Give them a call, 985-397-1562. That's 985-397-1562, or the Gonzales location at 225-300-9389. That's 225-300-9389. It's Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Neil and Melissa have been running it for 40 years down here in South Louisiana. They can help you get that Generac home standby generator installed before those storms show up here in South Louisiana. Give them a call. Again, that number has been the same for 40 years, 985-397-1562, or online at boudreauxelectrical.com. I misread the scoreboard earlier. It's 10-8, not 10-6, because my eyes are just not good anymore.
You've been supposed to get glasses.
I mean, here's the deal. I probably do need glasses, but the only time I find that it affects me significantly is reading television scoreboards.
Yeah.
And it's really, I can see my one at home because I'm closer to it and this TV is bigger. But here we have 4 TVs, so they're kind of smaller and tucked away. I'm kind of far away. I can't see it. It looked like a 6. I walked out of the studio. I went, oh, that's an 8. So I'm wrong. My eyes are bad. I'm old. It's just what it is. It's been a slow deterioration. But Ole Miss down the last 2 outs, 10-8 is the score in Hoover, Game 1 of the Southeastern Conference Baseball Tournament. All right, let's talk about LSU basketball. Yesterday, we gave you the story of LSU attempting to lure a 25, soon-to-be 26-year-old player from Israel to man the point guard position. And I said, look, this guy's been playing professional basketball for like 7 years. That seems a little odd to me, but if it's still within the rules, whatever. And it sounds like it may be, it may not be, we're not sure. And now we're on to the next bit of drama with LSU, which doesn't involve a player who's technically too old, just one that left college to go be a professional and now wants to come back. That's the case with R.J. Lewis. R.J. Lewis may be a name that is familiar to you as a college basketball fan. He's an excellent player. He started his college career at UMass in the A-10. He earned a starting role there for the Minutemen and transferred to St. John's for his sophomore and junior seasons, where he played for Rick Pitino and became a star in college basketball. He was the 2024-2025 Big East Player of the Year. For St. John's, a good team, he averaged 18 points, averaged better than 7 rebounds, was a consensus second-team All-American, shot 44% from the field, shot 34% from 3, shot 75% from the free throw line, was a go-to scorer on one of the better teams in the country at St. John's, and then decided to forego what would have absolutely been a 7-figure NIL and revenue sharing situation to go play professionally. And he didn't get drafted. Then he got signed on a 2-way deal by the Jazz, who then traded him to the Celtics. He played with the Celtics, I believe, in the Summer League, but was waived an option to the G League. And then he was dealing with a knee issue and some rehab, and he never played a game with the G League or the Boston Celtics, and certainly not the Jazz, who traded him immediately after they signed him. So he left college to go to the NBA, I use air quotes here, but go to the professional ranks, and then went undrafted, which I think most people suggested he probably would. He's 6'7". He's not a great shooter. He's a really good college player. And he didn't get drafted, and he got signed, and 2 teams coveted him because he got signed, and then he got traded, but the Celtics brought him into camp and then decided he was going to be optioned to the G League. He wasn't going to make the team. And then he didn't play. Well, now LSU and probably a lot of teams in the country are waving cash around, and he's going, well, I didn't play in the NBA. I didn't play in the G League. He's still within the 5-year window because he played a year at UMass, 2 years at St. John's. That's 3. Then the 4th year, he was out of the picture in the professional ranks, but not playing, and now he wants to come back for year 5 and cash in. 2 things on this. 2 things. One, I think this is ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous for someone to leave college basketball to be signed essentially by 2 NBA organizations, go through a summer process and assigned to a G League team and then waived and then come back to college basketball. I think that's patently absurd. It goes right back to my discussion yesterday where I was like, it's okay to have some rules. We can have some rules governing sports. It may not align with exactly what the founding fathers thought when they wrote the Constitution, but we can have some rules in college sports. And this appears to just be flouting all the rules. That's one part of this. Now, I don't back down off that at all. I thought it was absurd that Charles Bediako wanted to come back. I think it's absurd to go get somebody that's played for 7 years professionally in Israel to play, that's 26 years old. And I think it's absurd for this to be a situation for LSU basketball. I think it's absurd. But there's probably going to be a legal battle over this, and I don't know how that's going to work out. But if R.J. Lewis is eligible to play basketball for LSU, he's really, really, really good. I turned on the highlight tape today. I mean, I saw him play at St. John's. I remember him. But he is a great driver at 6'7". He's got excellent length. He's got elite athleticism. He throws down nasty monster dunks. Driving to the bucket in transition. He knows what he's doing, got great body control. He's just not an NBA size because he's 6'7" and doesn't shoot it great. He's okay. He's a 33% three-point shooter. He's not like a bricklayer, and he shoots 75% from the free throw line. He's got some touch. But at 6'7" in the NBA, you better either be locking people up on defense or knocking down shots because you can't just be a driver at 6'7" in the NBA with no ability to test teams from the outside. And for their standards, I mean, did you watch that game last night? You see those guys getting buckets? Man. I don't think nobody missed in the last 2 overtimes that I saw. So that he's just not a fit for the NBA game, which is why he didn't get drafted and why 2 teams have decided they don't need him on their roster. He would be an elite SEC scorer if he came to LSU. You could pencil him in for 16, 17 a night in the Southeastern Conference. And I understand why Will Wade is looking at this going, well, there don't appear to be a lot of rules here. This guy wants to play college basketball. I'll give him a shot. I mean, LSU's basically got dibs here. And if Lewis is eligible, then he's on the team. And if, in my opinion, common sense prevails and he's not, well, no harm, no foul. If you hadn't spent a bunch of money on him, I don't know what the agreement is. But LSU is basically got dibs on R.J. Lewis. They also got another commitment yesterday evening from another guy with an interesting story, but this guy he's going to be eligible. He's going to be on the team. His journey would have been laughable 15 years ago, but it's not now. It's just par for the course. Austin Nunez was a top 60 player nationally out of high school. He was a McDonald's All-American candidate. He didn't make the team, but he was right there in consideration. And he ended up going to Arizona State, where as a freshman, he played in 28 games with 2 starts. Then he jumped in the portal, and he went to Ole Miss, and he played there 30 games. He did not start there, but played 30 games for the Rebels, and then transferred out of Ole Miss and went back to Arizona State. And at Arizona State, he only played in 4 games, which is a redshirt year there for him, dealing with an injury. And then he transferred from Arizona State to UTSA, where I believe one of his parents was a standout player at UTSA. He's from San Antonio and went back to UTSA last year in his 4th season, but he has a redshirt year. Played 22 games, had 21 starts, and did a nice job. As I watched the highlights of Austin Nunez, I am reminded a little bit of Dedan Thomas. Now, I will tell you that some of that is because he is left-handed. They're both good athletes, not great. They're both left-handed. They're both good shooters, not great. They're college point guards with kind of a low professional ceiling. But I thought he had a pretty good year at UTSA. He averaged on the season 9.8 points, so about a 10-point score. Also dished out about 3 assists per game. Was a good job of facilitator. On the highlight tape, you look at him from a couple of years ago. I didn't see anything from UTSA, but a lot of high ball screen action, a lot of kind of penetrating and manipulating his way into the paint. He's not like a slasher and a big driver, but does a good job of kind of managing his way on the floor. Good awareness. I think grew up in a basketball house, and that's the same thing with Dedan Thomas. I think Dedan Thomas is a more proven commodity. What we saw from LSU, especially him as a distributor, probably gives me a little bit more confidence in his ability than Austin Nunez. But this feels like a potential backup point guard spot. And I think that is, you bring a kid in who's older. He's played 4 years of college basketball, but there's a clean red shirt in there, so no concerns with that. This looks like a pretty good ad. I would imagine this is not a super expensive ad, although I have no way of knowing whether it is or it isn't. But just a left-handed point guard type who can distribute a little bit, who can shoot a little bit. What was his three-point percentage? For his career, it's 31%. Last year, 25%, so not great. But at Ole Miss, he did shoot 42% from three with a smaller sample size, but he did shoot it a little bit better at Ole Miss. When you watch him, it's a pretty good-looking shot. And I would imagine he can shoot it a little bit. So not a huge splash ad, not a guy that's going to be a 15-point-per-game scorer, not going to lead the SEC in assists, but I think a solid depth piece for the backcourt for this team. So Will Wade continuing to put some pieces together. How many of those pieces are going to be eligible? That is something we're just going to have to learn. And I think that's probably when he told John Rothstein, hey, like, it's light based on what y'all know. We've got 7 or 8 guys. We'll have some paperwork. We'll get some things announced by August. And that's what he's talking about with like the RJ Lewis situation. He's just that's probably gonna have to go to court. That may be a deal where he gets eligible right before the season. Maybe he does before. Maybe he's ruled ineligible. Maybe he is ruled eligible midway through the season. I have no idea. But it's a spot that I just don't think is the real point here. But look, as I said yesterday, he throws the purple and gold on, and the court says he's eligible. Play ball. Go Tigers. Whatever. It is what it is. Let's talk some more Tigers. Glen West will be with us when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Oxner wants to remind everybody that May is Stroke Awareness Month. It is Stroke Awareness Month, but part of that is stroke prevention as well. You can control your blood pressure with because high blood pressure is a major risk factor if it is left untreated. Ask your doctor about ARB. It's another major risk factor. And the symptoms can include heart palpitations, lightheadedness, dizziness, shortness of breath. Make sure that you stop smoking. Ochsner's free smoking cancellation program can help you if you go to ochsner.org/quit. Manage your cholesterol levels, get regular exercise. All these things can be vital in help preventing strokes. Something we're talking about all month long here in May. For more information, you can go to ochsner.org. It's Stroke Awareness Month here in May from our friends at Ochsner.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday show is brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Find them at immense.net, immense.net. Ole Miss falls to Missouri in the opener in Hoover. Rebs will be a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. Wouldn't be spicy if they got sent down the road to Hattiesburg. If Southern Miss becomes one of those top 16 hosts, especially one towards the back end of the top 16, Ole Miss is one of the better 2 seeds. Might be a fit in Hattiesburg, which would be pretty spicy. Of course, when the Rebs won the College World Series back in 2022, you saw them come from Hattiesburg in the Super. So we'll see if that, in fact, becomes the case. But yeah, Ole Miss is out in Hoover. They'll start game 2 here within the next 30 minutes. Let's talk some LSU Tigers. Glen West, senior editor at Go 24/7, good enough to give us some time on Tuesdays. Glenn, how are you?
Doing well, Hunt. How about yourself?
Doing all right. LSU baseball swept over the weekend against Florida. They got swept 5 of the last 6. I'm curious where you want to start with that and how we got here.
Yeah, I mean, how much time you got? I think we're just kind of in a really bizarre situation here. It's a season unlike any I've certainly ever been around, and I think if you look back at the record books, it kind of backs that up too. This was a pretty historically poor season for baseball, and I think you have to start with the pitching. I think that was probably the biggest surprise in terms of just how many guys just didn't seem to get better. I'm not sure you could really point to anybody on this pitching staff and say that they were better than they were a year ago that returned. And I think, from a new pitcher perspective, I think you got some good moments out of Cooper Moore before he got hurt. But, yeah, there's just a lot of work to do, I think, to rebuild that side of things. And, look, position player side, I think you had some guys that, were pretty much what they were last year. I think Milam has certainly improved. I think Derek Curiel has been about what he was last year. But, it's just they needed some of these guys to take maybe a few bigger steps, and they just were not really able to do that, I think, this year. So unfortunate, and, you got a lot of work to do now here in the offseason to rebuild this thing.
What pitcher, relative to the expectations on him, had the best season for LSU this year? It's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, I would probably lean Zach Callen, just because I think that Zach Callen was pretty much the pitcher that he was a year ago. He got off to a really rough start. He had some moments this year where he wasn't maybe as consistent as he had shown maybe at times last year. But I think when he was on, he was about the pitcher that he was last year, and probably the guy that was most like himself, I guess, from a year ago. So I would probably say Zach Callen.
All right, well, we'll kind of do the autopsy on this awful baseball season when that time comes. But they do play tonight against Oklahoma. What kind of chance do you give them over the next few days to win a game, win a couple of games, make anything interesting?
Yeah, look, I think it was a pretty positive finish to the season for the offense in particular. I think in 3 of the last 4 series, you can say that those guys really started to find a rhythm and kind of find themselves a little bit there. And so I do think you can hold out some hope that maybe the offense continues to stay hot and they can put up 8, 9, 10 runs and make it interesting here. They just got to make sure they're not giving up 10, 11, 12 runs in that respect as well. And I think that, look, I went back and did a little bit of the deep dive on that Oklahoma series. William Schmidt did a pretty nice job against Oklahoma. I think he went 4 innings, gave up maybe 1 or 2 runs, and struck out 6 or 7 guys. I think he's probably going to need to go a little bit deeper in terms of innings pitched today, and I think that's a big reason why you saw LSU hold him for this last weekend series against Florida, getting him ready and getting him prepared, getting LSU off to a hot start. I think that's going to be massively important for Schmidt and for LSU to have a chance today. And really, you just got to take this one game at a time. I mean, they're treating this like a postseason, and in the postseason, you can never look ahead to 2 or 3 days from now. You're playing for your season every day here going forward, and I think it's going to be massively important that Schmidt gets them off on the right page tonight.
That's the interesting part of this. Does Jay Johnson manage this with the week in mind, or does he manage it with today only in mind? I mean, does he go with William Schmidt, and if he's in trouble in the third, you go to Case and Evans and have Zach Callen warming up, or do you say, hey, William, we're planning on scoring some runs against Oklahoma's bullpen today. We may let you take some lumps because we've got to save some pitching to continue to win games moving forward. I'm just curious how he'll handle it. You're saying day by day, so unleash everybody today. What do you think he will do?
Yeah, I think just watching his postseasons in the past, he's always been about that game and what gets LSU to the win in that specific game. Whether it's, pitching Paul Skeens, for example, in a regional and having him go the full 9 innings, a few years ago, like what pitcher is going to set me up best to just get out of this game and win this game? And so I would guess that he leans towards that as kind of his, and I think he's showing that here with Schmidt, who has been kind of your best quote unquote starter for most of the season. He's been kind of your guy that has, had certainly some struggles throughout this season, but has also given you some really nice moments as well. And I think, that would be kind of my guess is where Jay goes with this. But, look, this is also uncharted waters for him and for LSU. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they give him a little bit of a longer leash. But if you're in a tight game in the 4th or 5th inning and Schmidt's maybe getting into a little bit of trouble, I would expect to see one of your big bullets, whether it's, Devin Sheeran or, Zach Callen or just one of your better pitchers there to maybe help get you through this game and then attack tomorrow.
It's a struggle to come up with big bullets on this team.
Exactly. Like you can throw a dart and just, kind of say, hey, maybe this guy can go get me some outs. But that's kind of just been their whole season. So, it's very interesting.
Glen West is our guest, senior writer over at Go 24/7. Obviously, LSU basketball is in the news for many reasons over the last 24 hours, going to get a potentially 26-year-old from Israel, going to get a former G Leaguer and a guy that has played that has been part of 2 NBA organizations today.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the way that Will Wade has gone about some of this and then the national reaction to it?
Yeah, look, he's taking a lot of risks, a lot of gambles here. It's no surprise that he wants to be older and more experienced and more veteran. And he's exhausting every little crack in the system that he can to try to get that kind of a team. But look, I think a lot of this is just going to come down to what judge you get, because they're going to be filing a lot of waivers. They're going to be filing a lot of these processes that go very, very long, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here with more Luis, R.J. Lewis, the guy that they just brought in. I think he's got a different case than maybe some of the ones that we saw this last year that were kind of a similar vein. The Charles Bediacos of the world from Alabama. He played for 2 years in the G League. And, I think the case with Lewis here can be, yes, he signed a 2-way contract with the Celtics or with the Jazz, but he never actually played in a game. Maybe there's an avenue there to where they can just find the right judge on the right day to say, hey, this guy never really played professional basketball, so can he come back and exhaust his final year? So it's experimental, and we'll see kind of what happens there. But I think I don't fault Will Wade for trying to find every little advantage that he can in the current system, because there just are no guardrails, there are no rules right now, and whatever it takes to build the best roster possible, he's going to try to exhaust here.
Say they come up aces and all these guys get eligible. What do you think of the team?
If they all get eligible, it's a very interesting team, like a very interesting mix of guys. There's still a couple more out there that I think they're in on that could really solidify, that 7 or 8 man group that he's trying to go after. And I think in an ideal world, if they get the guys that they're going after and all these processes go through and they're cleared and eligible, this is going to be a very good team. And Lewis is going to be right at the center of this thing. That was a massive, massive addition. And just talking with a few people around the program, like if that gets final and that gets done, they feel really good about him being like one of the centerpieces of this team. And I think that's they're moving in a really interesting way with this roster. But again, you got until July, August to make this, to get all these guys on board and eligible. And so we'll see here if they're able to get all these players over the hump and eligible.
Glenn, we appreciate some time. We'll talk next week.
All right. Thanks, Hunt.
He is Glen West, senior editor for Go 24/7. Team covers, recruiting covers. They got you covered over there at Go 24/7. I want to remind you about my friends at GoTro's Outdoor Power. GoTrosOnline.com is the website, GoTrosOnline.com. GoTros, they can get you behind the wheel of a new zero-turn mower for $100 a month. So if you're looking for a new Raptor, new Hustler, they got you covered right there at GoTro's Outdoor Power. 2 locations, Airline Highway in Baton Rouge and in Gonzales. They've been the National Hustler Dealer of the Year for 2 of the last 3 years. They've got the largest Hustler inventory in the state by far. So if you've got property, you've got a big yard, you want to get that zero-turn mower, it's time now. That grass is growing like crazy. GoTro's needs to be your stop because they got unbelievable customer service, and they know this community. So if you need a delivery, they got you covered with trailers. If you need parts delivered, they've got trucks on the road every single day. It's GoTro's Outdoor Power. They're online at GoTrosOnline.com. 2 locations. They're here in Baton Rouge on Airline and, of course, in Gonzales as well. GoTro's Outdoor Power. Let's keep chugging along here on this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Reminder that I'll be out at Court at the Table tonight. We'll be watching LSU baseball if it starts on time. We're going to start at 8 no matter what at Sports Trivia at Court at the Table today. We'll have the SEC tournament on. No word when LSU's going to start. They got to play 2 more baseball games right now, and 8 o'clock is about 6 hours away. So if you think they're going to finish 2 more baseball games in that window, probably ambitious. So you're looking closer to 9:15 tonight for LSU. That's just the way it goes in the SEC baseball tournament. So we'll be there at Court at the Table tonight at 8 o'clock. If you're looking for something to do, come on out and see us. You can win gift cards, get delicious food, and and play trivia. It's a lot of fun. We always enjoy it, always have a good crowd. So hope to see y'all out there at Quarters Table on Burbank tonight for sports trivia. We still got plenty to do here on this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. In hour number 2, we'll hear some sound from Tyler Shuck. We'll talk about Josh Dobson, a 5-star cornerback that LSU was in on, may not be visiting LSU again. Sharif Ishak, WDSU, will be with us in 45 minutes. So plenty to do. We'll come back and close out hour number 2 when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. FABT.com. FABT.com is that website. Let freedom fly. They've got an incredible deal at their Dutchtown store tomorrow. It's not really a deal. It's free. They're giving away 500 flags. Full-size American flags. If you'd like a flag, get on by First American Bank and Trust and pick one up tomorrow. First come, first serve. When they open the doors, get on by and grab that flag. They want this entire community lit up in red, white, and blue for Memorial Day coming up this weekend, and they're doing their part. And you can do your part by going to pick up a flag and then letting it fly over the weekend. It's a community bank, and this is just another example of them being a part of their community, making sure their community is properly celebrating Memorial Day. It's a local bank. They've been here for 116 years. They'll be here for 116 more. So if you're looking for somebody to handle your commercial loan, First American Bank and Trust. Looking for somebody to handle your personal loan, First American Bank and Trust. 25 locations in Southeast Louisiana. First American Bank and Trust.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday's show is brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. When I say IT, you probably think about your department that's just there whenever a computer freezes. That's kind of what your general thought is about IT. They're more than that, much more than that. In fact, they're a managed service provider, an MSP. You're talking about a full IT department that's working for you, but they're not on your payroll. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, monitoring your IT system before anything goes wrong. Instead of calling some national call center when something goes wrong IT-wise, just have a local Baton Rouge base IT company that is here managing your system 24/7. If you run a business and don't have someone proactively managing your technology, you're one bad day away from a significantly expensive problem. Be proactive about that. Immense Network Cloud IT Management is happy to do that. You can check them out online, immense.net, immense.net. All right, let me get you caught up briefly on the SEC tournament situation over there in Hoover. As we mentioned a couple times, Ole Miss goes down to Missouri. The Rebs will be a 2 seed. Missouri lives to play another day. They'll play Mississippi State tomorrow morning from Hoover. The next game is Kentucky and Vanderbilt. It's a very fascinating game. Vanderbilt is not going to get in the NCAA tournament unless they win this thing. Their RPI is in the 70s. Yes, they won 14 league games. That's usually good enough. The RPI is a disaster. So they are not going to get in unless they win the whole tournament. So that's what they're here to do. Kentucky has an interesting case. They are truly the bubble team in the Southeastern Conference. Kentucky lost 8 out of 10 SEC series. 8 out of 10. And they're right there and likely to get in the field. Their RPI is very good. They put on a masterclass this year of don't get swept. And it's an interesting thing because you could say, well, you lost 8 out of 10 series. Like, do you really deserve to get in? And the question is, do you look at it that way in college baseball that creates a 3-game series? Like, how often are you winning 2 out of 3? Or are you just going to throw those 30 SEC games in a bucket and go, well, Kentucky got 13 of them. That's enough. I tend to lean the second way. I don't really care. I think it's bad that you've lost 8 out of 10. But winning a game here or there just because you've lost the first 2 in the series, like, you still won that game. So, I don't like Nick Mingio and I don't like Kentucky. But I think their case is okay based on the metrics and the fact that they won 13 games. You win a 14th against Vanderbilt here, and they'll be sitting pretty. I think they'd feel great if they could win 2 games, but 1 I think is probably enough. But an NCAA bid may be on the line for Kentucky today. I don't think it is, but it may be. They'll play Vanderbilt. Then you got South Carolina and Tennessee. Gamecocks obviously have to win the entire thing. And then you got Tennessee, who is not going to host and is in the field, so not a lot for the Vols to play with tonight. And then, of course, as we mentioned, you got LSU and Oklahoma coming up in the nightcap. LSU's path through this thing is Oklahoma on Tuesday, Auburn on Wednesday, A&M on Friday, then likely Texas or Arkansas on Saturday, and then probably Georgia or Mississippi State on Sunday. So for LSU to win this thing, it probably looks like, and I trust me, guys, I hear myself out loud. Don't question it. It's just, this is what we're here to do. They lose tonight, we don't have to do it anymore. But LSU would have to likely beat Oklahoma, Auburn, A&M, Texas, and Georgia. Like that's what it probably looks like. So let's just start tonight with Oklahoma. It'll be William Schmidt on the mound for LSU. And as I mentioned, this game is scheduled, the Kentucky-Vanderbilt scheduled for 2 o'clock. Perhaps could get underway at a reasonable time. Your problem is that you're trying to play at 5:30 with South Carolina and Tennessee. That's in 3.5 hours. Unless Kentucky and Vanderbilt really move at a quick clip, probably not going to start that game on time, and that obviously just bumps all the way back. Right now, not dealing with any weather, so that's a good thing. I'm a little cranky about the week as a whole currently. This is my favorite week of the year. It involves watching a lot of baseball, LSU being involved heavily in inconsequential baseball, which they're not this weekend. I like that part of it. And then I play in a big golf tournament up in North Louisiana this weekend, and the forecast is for the wettest week of the year in Shreveport. So that's just a sad state of affairs. And I'm a little bit pouty about it, if we're being honest. I'm trying to kind of suppress that and do a radio show here, but I have been a little bit pouty for the last 24 hours because the forecast is so bad for North Louisiana. They quit putting the percentages of rain. It crept up. It was like 80, 90%. And then they just took the percent off, and it just says thunderstorms for the whole time. So that's not making me happy. And I'm not happy about LSU's baseball team. But I'm happy that we're wrapping up hour number 1 here. And we'll talk about something a little bit happier with Tyler Shuck and Jordan Tyson on the Saints coming up. We'll also talk some Saints with Sharif Ishak and some LSU football recruiting coming up in 20 minutes. If you missed any of hour number 1, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Hunt Palmer Show, or wherever your podcasts are. Certainly Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints as well. We will pause for national headlines with SportsCenter. We will come back. Coming up next, hour number 2, the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carbo and his team, they're phenomenal folks to work with, and they understand what the marketplace looks like in terms of property and casualty insurance as well as benefits. Both sides have hard markets that are making things tough on business owners because the premiums are just growing and growing and growing. It just hurts the bottom line. And at the Highland Insurance Group, they're an independent broker. So they're able to shop dozens of carriers for you, whether it's on the benefits side, whether it's on the property and casualty side. So if you've had a renewal that's been uncomfortable, you're dreading a renewal that's coming up, or you're just not happy with the level of service that you're getting from your current insurance broker, the Highland Insurance Group would love to be the next best option, would love to put a second set of eyes on your situation. Whether that's benefits or P&C, they can do it at the Highland Insurance Group. They're based here in Baton Rouge. They're also online at HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com.